A true act of charity. A heroic act of charity. The brown-baked earth showed that there had been no rain for a while. The tinder-dry branches of the few shrubs in the Arizona desert gave no respite from the sun. Dust rose in clouds in the gentle breeze, whirled around until it finally settled back down on the gray rocks and covered the black asphalt road. The road twisted, and a few solitary vultures wheeled overhead. A weary man trudged along the side of the road. His face was caked in sweat and dust, and he would bring his broad brown hand to his face, wipe the perspiration and grime, and smear it on his faded torn jeans while occasionally drinking a bottle of water. But he was happy. He had made it. The border was behind him, greener pastures were before him. Even on the deserted road, any noise like a helicopter made the man crouch or hide behind whatever boulder he could find. He had made it this far and he did not want to get caught by the border patrol or some Minuteman. He remembered his wife and children and their tear-stained cheeks as he left the pueblo, Magdalene de Rio in Sonora. He would call her when he arrived at Phoenix. He trudged on underneath the hot sun, but a soft sound broke into his thoughts. It was familiar but faint. As he walked on, the noise became louder and sounded like his 10-year-old son. Yes, that was it. It was a boy crying. He began to run, his father's instinct overcame his tiredness. A boy, a panting dog by his side, was hobbling with a terribly bruised leg along the dusty road. He was wiping his eyes with his sleeve, almost dazed, alone, and it seemed as if he couldn't make it very far. He sat down and clutched his leg. The Mexican came up to the boy. "Okay," he asked in broken English. The boy had not even noticed him. Startled, he looked up into the man's brown eyes, tears rolling down his face. With a shaking hand, he pointed down. At the bottom of the canyon, a car lay. The marks on the side of the bank showed how it careened 300 feet, flipped, and collided with a large boulder. "Mom," the boy said in a choking voice. He grasped the boy's hand. Suddenly, the boy clung onto him. After a while of awkward silence, the boy stopped crying. Helping the boy to walk, he went to the wreck, and he looked in. The front windshield lay in pieces and the face of a woman looked out, dry blood caked to her once golden hair, glassy-eyed, dead. He pointed up. "Heaven, she there?" The boy's teary eyes looked up at him, surprised. "Yeah, Dad," the man asked. The boy's face looked at him blankly, it seemed as if he had never known who his father was. Now the Mexican had to make a decision. Staying with the boy until help arrived meant certain deportation, and his family would again need to struggle for survival. Yet as he gazed at the boy's young face, he saw one of his sons, Jose, as he looked up at his father before Papa left the pueblo, with that childlike trust. No, he couldn't leave the boy alone. The boy couldn't make it without him, shorts and a t-shirt wouldn't be enough to make it through the night. There was enough food in the wreck for a day or so. It was dusk now and the cold of the desert night was just beginning. The boy began to shiver. The man took his sweater off, handed it to the boy, and began to make a fire. During the night, they heard a car drive by above them. In the early morning, as the man was preparing a meager breakfast, he was startled by a man's voice. "What ya doin' here?" the hunter growled, pointing his gun at the man. "He helped me," the boy blurted out. Christopher, the boy was taken to Tucson, Arizona for medical treatment of his broken leg. When they put him on the stretcher, the Mexican waved and smiled. The boy waved back, just before they let him into the ambulance. He was unaware of the great sacrifice the Mexican had made for him. Soon the Mexican, who had performed this true act of charity, was taken to a border patrol van, to be taken back to Mexico, back to his family, and back to a life of extreme poverty. But as he looked back as the van drove along the desert road, he was glad he'd chosen this way. "I am the father of 4. I could never have left him. I have come to the conclusion that charity is only charity when you give goods, services, or money without personal gain, benefit or recognition of any kind. True charity is anonymous. It begins and ends within yourself." Indian speaker. Quotehd.com